my gosh.
This is the
What is
office now.
this?
That's
This
another
from Thailand?
No, Bali.
Bali.
Indonesia.
Wow.
Wow.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Fire, free fire. Is that your?
Yeah, it's my latest book, and I've got two other ones that are one's finished.
This is your movie or book?
These are books, and then one movie just got finished
Uh-huh.
called Whistler's Blind. I'm a pastor.
Wow. This is your artwork too?
No, I bought that in Vietnam. It's
Oh.
some kind of lacquer.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Really nice.
And
These
that's
are the
I went to college,
Mm.
and I fell in love with going to college, and my whole premise was getting one degree, then another degree, then another degree.
Oh,
And
wow.
now I have 5 degrees, the
Degrees.
master's, and I'm 1 year into my doctorate degree
Wow.
at ASU. And so I'm writing my thesis right now, which is real interesting because this is a part of my thesis that I'm building on, but I still have a bunch of classes to go to finish before I do it. But this is the proposed title of my thesis.
religion is man versus spirituality,
Big
guy.
future.
Wow, that's a very
I like
interesting
that.
topic.
Yes.
Yeah, and the
Yes.
leadership
Yeah.
at ASU Thunderbird Graduate School, they don't typically in business, this is a business school, international business. And they don't typically involve religion in teaching their students to become leaders in business. And I told the dean and the head, all the professors I've talked to, you're missing it. Because one of the most important things in life, when you're going to do business in another country, is finding out not just their culture, not just their language, not just their politics, not just their religion, but going back to the beginning of their origins. And in the Philippines, in Africa, all over the world, the beginnings, the leaders were tribal chiefs.
True. Yes, true.
So those tribal chiefs still exist in most of the world,
Yes.
including the Philippines.
Oh, yeah.
I met 3 tribal chiefs up in Mindanao in Agusan del Sur 2 years ago because I'm sponsoring a bunch of kids from the Bamada tribe and we had to get their approval. But they guide the local people, who have their own language,
Yes.
and their own politics,
Yes.
but their chief is their leader.
Yes.
And it's the same in Africa. And so I always ask first, I want to go meet the king. I want to only from the moment you're shot from Texas to outer space and you land, it's about 15 minutes.
What?
That's
No
it.
way.
Yeah. Your
Wow.
weightlessness up in there and then gravity pulls you back down.
Wow.
And so you have about 5 or 6 minutes with open windows. There's 6 of you, and you're floating around, and you can take pictures, and you're just
Wow.
And how much it costs to get to that?
$300,000, $150,000 deposit, non-refundable.
Wow.
And
That's
one
not
of my
bad.
classmates at ASU is a director of Blue Origin.
There you
So
go.
we're in the same doctorate program. So I'm going to be Skyping and Zooming with him a lot over the next year and a half because he's in the same class that I'm in.
Nice.
So we're going to be in all the same teachers.
Same flight.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's interested in
That's
it.
true.
But I asked him to get me on the list. So
Do you have to be physically fit?
yeah, you have to go through like only
Training or
three days of
something.
training. You have to get medical clearance.
Yes.
Make sure you don't have
Pass out.
fear of heights or
You won't pass them.
Your heart's strong
Yes,
enough.
your heart can stop on a high altitude or something.
The stress of it all.
Anxiety and everything.
Yeah, so I tried to take a holistic view of the world itself and then break it down into its smaller components. And in reality, America's a brand new country. It's the wealthiest country because it still has a constitution, but that's being eroded and taken away. And we're one of the only countries in the world that has a functioning constitution, or we did anyway. But we got to get back to that because we are the envy of 200 countries in the world. People want to come here because they have no religious freedom, they have no political freedom. They're tortured. I can't tell you that Honduras, walking over bodies, I have to have military escorts almost everywhere I go on these medical missions to inspect these hospitals that are run, by people that are corrupt. And I know I don't want to say this too much, but when I go to Mindanao, I have to have military escorts to get from Davao to San Francisco up to Agusan del Sur, which is provided by the governor because he knows that a lot of politicians are killed on the way up to his capital.
Oh, wow. I think it's true.
It's
true.
because of money, power, and corruption.
Yes.
And most of the doctors in the hospitals in the Philippines are paid when the governor wants to pay them. And if he wants to use the money for something else, he does. And that's typical from around the world. The governors, you walk into their homes, they get paid $10,000 a year, and they're living in a $2 million home. How did that happen? Yeah. They're just telling you openly that they're stealing your money. And people know that, but they bow down to them because they have the guns and the power.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's happening here in America. It's happened all over the world, and it shouldn't be, because we don't have a king. We have elected leaders who swear to the Constitution, and the Constitution's got laws that says you can't do this, you can't do that. But right now, we're having an anomaly in the history of America, and that's what I tell everybody, because all these world leaders are just going bananas because they don't know what the hell's going to happen next with not only their aid, but their military security, their borders. There's no assurances that they're going to be in power, that their country's going to exist in 3 to 4 years, because America is not reliable anymore. And so they're like, oh my God, what are we doing? And I just tell them, I said, in the next 10 years, we're going to have 3 new presidents. Don't worry. This will pass. And when it's gone, we'll get back to normalcy. We'll get back into trying to protect the climate. We'll get back into helping those less fortunate, the worldwide. We'll get back into the WHO organization. We'll get back into funding research for all these diseases that are going to hit us, that there is no funding for anymore. All the researchers were fired. If you go to Kenya, Tanzania, a lot of African countries, their antiviral medicines are locked up in a warehouse expiring.
Oh my gosh, that's a waste.
Because there's nobody, everybody was fired that was distributing them in clinics. And I've been in a lot of those clinics, where the Maasai warriors go, because a lot of them have AIDS, because they go to the prostitutes and they go back to their village with their girlfriends and their wives and give it to them. But the only way it was controlled was through the antiviral medicines. Well, guess what? The AIDS virus is going to mutate, and nobody's producing any new antivirals to combat the next pandemic that's coming, whether it's AIDS or whether it's COVID or Ebola. I mean, I've been quarantined in a number of countries because of Ebola for a day or two to make sure I don't have a temperature and infection. But we won't have anything to fight it because there's nobody on the ground in those countries to report back and to direct research to stop it. Very short-sighted mentality. With the guys, it's all the guys, I think, and they're trying to save corruption. And the actual corruption that was found by Elon Musk was so small, it was negligible. And that's why Elon Musk is going crazy right now, because he found out the truth, that all this hyperbole about the criminals, evading us, about all this corruption and the abuse and the stealing. There's hundreds of politicians in jail because they were caught stealing money. There's three governors from Indiana, Chicago and Indiana.
Yeah.
They're from New York. They're all in prison because they were caught embezzling and cheating and bribing and taking monies that they shouldn't have. But we have laws that affected that. Well, those laws were negated by a word called pardon. All of these guys were pardoned because they gave money to one guy, which is wrong. But anyway, the whole point is that the world is watching us. They're cringing. They're just like going, "What the heck are you doing? And why are you doing this?"
Okay, Chuck, I have a question. So, who and around generosity and community service, who or what influenced your values around generosity and community service?
Well, I think I look.
Someone like you were looking up to, or your mom used to be generous and very, very active in giving her time, those type of thing. What was your inspiration?
Well, I grew up in a very poor family, and my father died when I was 14, and my mom never remarried, and so I had to make the house payment. So I worked full time since I was 14, paying the house payments and doing all that stuff, and that's when I went to school. But I went to school in Sweden for a year on a scholarship program, and then I went to school in Yugoslavia on a scholarship program, and there is no more Yugoslavia. It was given to a general called Tito after World War II for him running the partisans to kill Germans and to kick Germany out of Europe, which he did. And so he was rewarded with all these Slavic countries, which have now broken up and gone their own way. Macedonia, Serbia, Montenegro. I mean, all these other countries now exist because of, they were there before, but since he died, they went back to their own. But anyway, I learned a lot about struggles of peoples by being in those countries in the early 70s. And I got accepted at UCLA to go to medical school. I got a degree in biology and a degree in economics from the University of California at Santa Barbara. And I got 3 degrees at one time because I didn't take summer vacations. I didn't take Christmas vacations. I didn't take any vacation. If I had 2 weeks off, I took a class online. And those 2 weeks, I finished the class. And then I went and took the final exam at a school and passed the final exam. So every break, I was getting another 3 units of credit. Instead of going on vacation and telling, how hard I worked and blah, blah. And I always worked full time, but I did as much as I could, as fast as I could to get where I am today. And so I'm of the opinion that you have to work hard, but you got to work smart at the same exact time. If you do one or the other, you're not going to be successful financially if that's your goal. A lot of people don't really look as monetary success or having a lot of money as success. Anyway, so the founder of Project Cure, I met him 20 years ago.
Are you the founder?
I met the founder 20 years ago. He's
you
still
met the
alive,
founder.
and he built 3 big ski resorts in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
A billionaire. His son has been running it for the last 20 years, Douglas Jackson. And he and I have been on a lot of missions together, met a lot of presidents and first ladies, and all over the world.
So, Chuck, following up with my question, your feeling of helping people, it's because of you came from a poor family, and you know how it is to be poor, and that's why it seems to be your purpose in life to help others. Is that correct?
Yes, I
Yeah.
was very, very fortunate that I learned how to do business by going to work for Johnson & Johnson when I got out of graduate school. And I sold pharmaceuticals and medical equipment.
Wow.
And I had 4 months of very intensive training with one of the best companies in the world. And I was, they gave me a pharmaceutical territory, and I was always the top salesman in LA for 3 years. And then they promoted me into medical equipment sales, and I did really well. But I got so tired of living on the road, corporate bureaucracies. I said, I gotta make a lot of money. I'm only 26, 7 years old. How am I gonna make a lot of money to make a difference? And back then, computers were just starting. And I knew a little bit about real estate, but I didn't want to sell homes because I didn't want to deal with, colors and, husbands and wives.
Yes, yes.
So I knew numbers really well. So I got into commercial real estate with a large commercial real estate company called Marcus Millichap. In 1979, I opened their office here in Phoenix. And my first year in commercial real estate sales, I made $0. And I was broke. But I learned what not to do and who not to chase and who not to work for. And the next year, I made $300,000. Then I made $500,000. And now I'm making over $1 million a year, and I don't even work because I use that money as seed money to buy a small complex, then a bigger complex, then another complex, then another complex. Before I started buying fancy homes, cars, trips, I used the money to invest in things that would give me more money so that I can be sitting here today with you and not working, and I'm making more money than I could possibly spend. So now my whole premise is to give away all that money responsibly to all these charities. And now I've got orphanages in 3 countries, medical clinics, schools. My name's on one of the buildings at ASU. It's going on this new warehouse that we're putting up with Project Cure. As well as I'm on the Phoenix Committee of Foreign Relations. I'm one of the top executives. It's a 501c3. I'm on the board of directors for Phoenix Police Department, and that's a 501c3. And I'm part of a big part of a program with the police department. It's called Angels on Patrol. And Angels on Patrol, I'm the major funder of it. It provides debit cards that are in every precinct available for policemen to use when they get a victim, a family, a child, a mother that's homeless after being in an accident, home burned out, rape, whatever happens to them. They're sitting on a curb at 3 a.m. with nowhere to go, no family, no money, no clothes. So those debit cards are used to get them a hotel, get them a bus ticket home, get them gas, get them food, get them something immediately. So because the police officers are devastated, they can't help them.
That's right. That's right.
And so they go to the precinct, they just fill out a little form, and then they get the debit card, and they take it to the victim.
Yes.
They don't know who I am. It's the Phoenix Police Department. It's Buckeye, Scottsdale, Gilbert, Mesa. They all use the same Angels on Patrol.
Angels on patrol.
But I fund all the ones that are done in Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
The truth is, you're the angel.
Yes.
They did not know who is in patrol.
I get reports every month exactly where every dime went. There is no overhead. It's a charity. Most of the charities that we invest in, Project Cure is 2%.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you want to find out if a charity is worth giving money to, go to Charitable Navigator and read their responses because they have to report to the IRS. Project Cure's overhead is about 2%. Anything above 8% is to me, I don't want to invest in that charity. Like United Way, Red Cross, Wounded Warriors, they're all 50, 60, 70% expenses because they're spending money on marketing, commissions to people getting money, buildings, salaries, vacations, bonuses. And it just grows every year to the point that you give $1, 40% of it's going to help the victims. And I don't like that.
Yeah, me too.
Because that's not true, whatever.
Yes.
So that's one reason I like, and I donate a lot of money to Project Cure because of that.
And that is really inspiring and very, we wish that there would be more people like you who can do that. And when you mention about how you achieve your financial independence and through freedom, and now you're helping others, it gave so much hope to others, even though you started from poor beginning, but now with what you have accomplished and what you have been doing to help others. So that really is
I am truly blessed.
yes, a great example.
And I have a feeling that I know that there's a lot of extremely wealthy people in this valley who won't part with one dime for whatever reason. I know some of the doctors that I know, I've given money and it got, it never went where it was supposed to go, and I felt cheated. I won't donate anymore. I'm just going to give to my family. Oh my gosh.
I know.
So, they have a bad experience. And I can understand that. And so I just kind of like, okay. But I try to explain what Project Cure is, or Charitable Navigator, or the Phoenix Police Department Foundation if you want to donate locally. There's so many different really good charities that are out there that are not being taken advantage of you when you donate money. And the projects that I did with Project Cure in the Philippines was done with Robert Johnson and Cyril Johnson. He put up half the money, I put up half the money, and we worked through a charity that's set up in the Philippines by a white guy who knows how to circumvent the corruption in the Philippines. So we have a legal nonprofit entity set up in the Philippines. And I have a legal nonprofit entity set up here, and Robert Johnson has one. So we just send money to that charity. So it's all legal. The money that we donate, we get to write it off. And then we know that the money that's going into the Philippines is going directly to pay for the shipping costs and expenses to go into the hospitals.
Where's this at, Chuck, in the Philippines?
It's in the headquarters is in Davao somewhere. It's a guy. Farm Tech is the name of it. But if somebody wants to, we've got a lot of people that want to donate things, medical equipment to the Philippines, but the bureaucracy is so extreme and large. Some people give up after 2 or 3 years. Because of the money, the customs officials, the tax officials, the port officials, the brokers that are on the ground. Everybody, you get the paperwork in, and then they want a little bit more, and then they want a little bit more.
So the paperwork will keep
I can't tell you how many Zoom conference calls I've been on with lawyers in the Philippines, the governors, and the people that we were sending medical equipment and supplies to, and they wanted more and more money, and I just said, no. I told the lawyer, I said, this you're screwing your own people. You should be ashamed of yourself in front of the governors and all these other. I said, your kababayan need this medical equipment. Have you been in the hospitals? Have you seen the equipment?
Oh my gosh.
That it's all broken and it doesn't work, and the doctors are crying for things that they can use to help their people live and suffer less.
And you're
And
just
they say, oh yeah, I work there. I go,
medical supplies.
Yeah, I say, you should know, and you shouldn't be asking me for more money. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I said, Governor, what's his name, Cavan or something? I said, I've got another hospital in Davao that wants that container that's sitting in your port with your name on it. If you don't want it, tell me right now, and I will have it picked up and taken to that hospital. And he goes, no, we got to take it care of. Don't worry. You know,
So what are
lawyer, take care of this. All of a sudden, the money appeared.
We heard that the Project Cure is providing those tons of medical supplies. Is that true?
This is how we get it. It's all donated by our local hospitals and suppliers. A lot of it's brand new because a company, discontinues one, and the hospitals have to buy new stuff. I was in Honor Health, the other week in the operating room, and I'm watching all this equipment that they're using and not using, and I'm going, oh my God.
no, you're
I've been in hundreds of surgical suites, and this is like a candy store for doctors. And I go, you guys don't know how blessed you are to be able to work with all this equipment. Because I've gone into surgical suites in Ecuador and Peru and Colombia and Nigeria and Burkina Faso. There's a nurse underneath the operating table holding it still so they can operate on the patient. Because otherwise it's broken and it moves and the doctors can't do their surgeries correctly.
Or the needle has to be reboiled.
Well, that and the when they're cutting out a tumor or whatever, it's just, the table's moving, so the nurse, they have to get another nurse, and the lights don't work, and the anesthesia machine breaks, and they don't have blood pressure cuffs. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, the stuff they need. And they always think I'm a doctor. Says, Dr. Chuck, would you like to help us with this operation? I go, no, it's okay. I'm done with that.
You have shared a great deal and impacted us with your wisdom on how you become successful. What particular advice you can give to people who always thought of being successful, now that you have reached your success?
Well, first you have to define what success is to you. Is it family? Is it friends? Is it money?
Yeah.
Is it spiritually? What is success to you? And usually people talk about success in terms of wealth, money, and things, because that's what they see. But that's not real wealth. Real wealth is the guy that dies with the most friends.
Beautifully said.
Yes.
Because there is nothing that we take with us. And we're all born with nothing, and we all take nothing with us. And so in between, we talked about this, our dash.
Yes.
Make the most of your dash and figure out if you're successful and God gives you the ability and the creativity to make a lot of money. He's making you the steward of that money. And he's counting on you to do the right thing with that money, which is to give it to people who don't have as much. So in your dash, it's a for me anyway, it's a real game of, I'm getting close to the end of my dash. I'm 74. So my dash has probably got maybe 10, 15 years. So I'm trying to gauge my dash and set it up so that all my monies are going to charities that I enjoy, that I know are going to prosper because of the additional funding. So that when I die, my estate is fully taken care of and no money goes to estate taxes. It's all going to help other people, not buy a missile to bomb Iran. You know what I mean?
So Chuck, how do you inspire others, especially the next generations, to give back?
That's hard to inspire other people because their motivations are all different, and a lot of them learn and exemplify their parents. What their parents did, what their parents do, what their parents say, how they act, how they vote. They're influenced by all those things. And if the parents are doing bad things, they're probably going to wind up doing bad things. If their parents smoke, they're probably going to wind up smoking. If their parents drink, they're probably going to wind up drinking. Drugs, you know, all these, you know, people in prison. Oh, my dad's on welfare. I could be on welfare. You hear that over and over and over. It's not a sin to live off the government if 4 generations of your family have lived off of government. You know, from welfare, food stamps, whatever it is, subsidized housing. They're used to that. So they think they're entitled to it. I never had to go through that, but I've seen that happen.
I think you're a good example. You're a good model for the youth and the older, because you said earlier that you came from a poor family, but your mindset was different. You have a mindset that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I would like to be a successful person. And you did it because you help yourselves to be in that status. Nobody pushed you. You know, you were at 14 years old, you started.
I don't have to be going to school at ASU at my age. I don't need any money.
You know, but then again, you are a model yourself.
Well, I consider myself as a doer.
You are a doer.
And there's talkers and there's doers. and you can switch it. Anybody can be a doer, but it's easier to be a talker.
Yes.
I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to.
There's
Well,
no
you
result.
can.
you can be a talker all your life.
Because
But
you have done things.
Yes.
You can talk
there's
about.
an outcome for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see
And
the
you know,
success in you.
and people as they get older, I mean, I can't tell you how many people, you know, in our Lions Club, you know, why are you going to school at your age? I go, why wouldn't you go to school? Why wouldn't you want to encourage and enhance the capacity of your existence, making it that
Exactly.
much more better and knowledgeable, and at the same time benefiting your brain
Yes.
from not getting dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Because there's 2 or 3 people in my club right now that are just in the beginning phase of Alzheimer's, and they're doctors, but they stopped their learning path, and they lived on their laurels. And so it doesn't matter, you know, I'm taking French, Mandarin, getting a doctorate degree. You know, it doesn't cost very much,
Yeah.
but you get to
Just
meet.
you practicing your brain.
Yeah, well, it's a gymnasium
Yes.
for your muscle. It's the
Yes.
best muscle.
Yes.
It's the last one to go.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
take it to the gym and use it. Make it as strong as you can, because it's cheap, it's effective, and you'll be able, when they're throwing dirt on you, you're going to look up and go, oh, I knew this was going to happen.
And with that, you meet people.
You meet
You
so
meet
many
so
interesting
people.
Yes.
I could sit home and watch TV. My secretary's 55, her husband's 54. He's the head of Chase Bank. He can't even walk upstairs. He's stuck in front of that TV watching Fox all day long, and he can't even walk anymore because he's, you know, it's just he's lost. To me, he's lost his enthusiasm to grow, learn, and live. And I don't want to ever do that, you know.
Yep.
And that's why I've got scripts sitting on my desk right here. This one's Phantom Wind. This is my next book. It's all in the Philippines.
Wow.
It's going to be. The editors that have read it think it's my best book ever, and it's so exciting because it starts in Mindanao and it ends in Bataan,
Oh, wow.
and I wind up saving the whole city of Manila from death and disease.
Wow.
That's my Project Rescue, and
It would be a movie.
Well, I want it to be a movie. And I've talked to Danny Aguilar about it, but you know, he's still learning how to do all this stuff. You know, he's in the beginning phases of being a movie maker. He's not made one dime, not one penny. So he's got a wealth of enthusiasm and knowledge, but he's a chemical engineer, basically. You know, and he wants something to do, you know.
It's like he started he's with Johnson and Johnson, right?
Yeah. He analyzes pharmaceutical products on an independent basis, where he gets paid a consulting fee. We need to have on the ground in the Philippines, because that industry there is so fragmented, and everybody's dog eat dog. And so it's kind of hard to figure out who to trust, who to work with, who not to work with. Because 125 minutes is about $60,000.
Wow.
Total.
That's not bad.
No, but people, it's inexpensive to do it here. You know, most of the actors are going to do it for $100 a day. So you can film for a week, you know, with 10 people, and you can get the sets for free, and the videographer and the sound guys, they're all starving for money. So a lot of people will work in the industry for their name on the film, that they can put on their IMDb program. My money back if I get my money back. But before anybody makes any money, I get my money back.
That's right.
Or I told him, I said, I'm not going to do it because I know I've been involved in so many films here where nobody got their money back.
But a horror film.
Horror films are one of the only ones that make money.
Yeah.
Because there's a small segment of sick people in the world that will buy them.
Yeah. And not only that, it's every Halloween it becomes a fashion to watch a horror movie.
So
well,
now,
with these three take off, and I'm going to be the same character in each one, and I want people to walk out of the theater going, I hope it's not me. I hope it's not me. You know, like Clint Eastwood, make my day. I want people to say that throughout the movie. So when people walk out of the movie, they're looking at each other and go, I hope I'm not next. You know, whatever the tagline is. You know, like, I'll be back. I want something memorable.
yes.
And then if people start saying it enough, then I can make more movies.
Have you made one yet?
Oh yeah, I've got Trance Never Closes, Whisper's Mind, what was it? What's his name? And the Nether Blasters.
And these are horror movies?
No, those aren't horror movies.
Oh, okay.
But
so, what legacy do you want to leave behind? Do you hope to leave behind?
that's a tough one. You know, I'm just trying to make the most of my dash. I'm not a spiritual leader. I'm more of a if somebody wants help, I will help guide them. I don't charge anybody any money for any of my time, ever. I don't. If somebody needs help with something, you know, financially, whatever, I'll give them the money. But I don't want any strings attached or anybody to look back to me. And if I give you money, I never expect you to pay me back. Otherwise, I will be wounded. And you've seen it 100 times here. You know, Filipinos lending other Filipinos monies, and they never get paid back, and there's hatred forever. I've seen that so many times. It's like, man, if you give money, you better not expect to get it back, and just be, you know, well, they promised, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, you have a very nice, and you've come a long way, and here you are, still going.
Well, I would just keep going as long as, you know, the other thing is that to keep going means that you have to physically have the ability to keep going, which means you need to take care of the vessel we call our bodies.
Yes.
Which means don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, get a lot of sleep, and get exercise. And do the things that you know are right to take care of what God gave you. And if you abuse those things, then shame on you. But you have the capacity and the ability and the brains normally to be able to get out of bed, go running, you know, don't take that extra scoop of dessert or rice, Yeah. I shouldn't say that around Filipinos. Don't eat rice.
Unlimited rice.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
Well,
Yeah, but you have to have health before you can have wealth.
true.
That's right.
Because
So-
health is your true wealth.
Health is wealth.
I think that's a real axiom to live by, because that will help you create the wealth, and then the success, whatever you call success. So, and then if you have faith, you will have no fear,
I agree.
because faith and fear do not coincide in your brain.
True.
In the same part of your brain, if you have happy thoughts, you cannot have any negative thoughts. It's impossible.
That's right.
But if you start thinking negative thoughts,
Yeah.
you're gonna have fear and you won't be able to think positive. So you have to stop yourself when you start getting a negative. Knowing people and opening the right doors. Like with the governor. You know, it went with Robert Robert
Yeah.
and Cyril's family.
Yes.
Knew the head nurse who, you know, and she was so vocal about getting this pushed through that they wound up firing her. And she's now a nurse in Austria.
Wow.
So she was a stepping stone, but they just said, hey, you're gone. She got a little bit, they got a little upset with her, but I'd like to do the same thing in other provinces. You know, I've done hundreds of cataract surgeries with Conrad Balaser
Yes.
and Fillmore and Dr. Brahms. You know, before the Ophthalmological Society said no more politics.
Yes.
They said, oh, we can take care of our own. And we were doing hundreds of cataract surgeries a day for free.
Wow.
And now we go and do them, it's maybe 5. Because the doctors that they provide, their students, can't do that many. They don't have the experience, the wisdom, and they take forever to do one patient. And our doctors are getting so paid. You know, the anesthesiologist, Balser stands there going, he was so upset the last couple times. Because he knows that we could be helping hundreds of people that have bad eyesight.
Well, with people like you, there will be no limit to what you can do and you can help. So, would love to one day you can partner with Buhay Buhay sa America as we are working on our educational scholarship fund. You would be a great
I just
mentor.
sent $10,000 to the Philippines for
Yeah.
10 new students in the Bamana
great.
tribe.
Which one?
Where's that?
It's in the Bamana. It's in Agusan del Sur,
Oh.
and we have an arrangement. Every semester we have 10 new students
Oh, that's
that
great.
come out of the village, and we provide their housing, their education, their room and board, and food and
Yeah.
transportation.
Then we
And
can
it-
help together.
Yeah, and they're getting midwives, lawyers, nurses,
Wow. Nice.
teachers,
That's
and they have to go back and work in the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's
Robert
a
Johnson
really
and I
good-
are funding that 50-50.
I see.
And we started off with a pilot program, and a guy named Dave Kruger and his wife is Jehan Filipina from the same area. He's overseeing the financial part and making sure that the pastor and all the people that are running it in the Philippines, you know, we've been warned by the governor not to give any money to the pastors because he said they're crooked.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we picked up on it, but we were just sitting in the governor's office. And he goes, "Don't give that guy any money." So he keeps asking us for money. I'll take care of the bills. I'll take it. We just said no. We're handling
take care of it.
every dime that goes out is run by David Kruger,
Oh, that's
who
good.
lives here locally, and his contact in Davao is a white guy that has a big charity building farms and schools. So that's where we have the connection with the 501c3s legally in the Philippines. It's all set up. You have to have an address, a building, all this stuff. So we have that connection.
That's
So we can do more scholarships if you want through Robert and Cyril and those guys.
we're happy to help.
Yeah.
What
that-
area do you concentrate?
You could probably turn it off. So you
Let's just what do you call it?
All right.
On behalf of Buhay Buhay sa America, we thank you for watching, and we hope that you can learn from this wonderful interview by Ate Tess and our great man of the hour, Mr. Chuck Irion. And thank you, Chuck, for giving us your time.
Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure. You guys are so a breath of fresh air for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Chuck.
much.
Yeah.
We are like students learning from you, and all of those people who are watching this are actually getting a front seat on the fast lane, how to be the best version
Well, let's
of
build
yourself.
upon it and help more come
Yes.
about.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.